Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pitchfork Chronicles. I am the Pats. I am here with Rob, and this is where fans become family. And the one thing I want to start the discussion with is there has to be the discussion of which team does have the most pressure on it to win this World Series. You can go back years and years over, the Yankee Dodger World Series history is deep. But when you look at recent history, Clayton Kershaw made a couple of comments. I can't quote any of them off the top of my head, but it was, with the whole thing with Houston in 17, that this could be the World Series that people were supposed to get. And because of that, there's this whole narrative of, well, it's the Yankees, so they have to win. But I also want to take the angle of this is also a World Series that the Dodgers need to have because of the narrative of 2020 with the quote-unquote Mickey Mouse trophy and the Mickey Mouse World Series, the piece of metal, as the commissioner referred to it as. So, Rob, I'm going to get your take on it, and then I'll give you my full take on what I think. When it comes to which team has the most pressure on it, on them to win this whole thing, where do you stand?
I don't think that any team has more pressure than the other. I mean, if you want to be technical, you could say it's us because it's been 15 years. I hate the Mickey Mouse term. That is the most overused thing. Please leave that in 2020 where it belongs. It never made sense back then. It doesn't make sense now. A World Series is a World Series. It wasn't the Dodgers' fault that the world stopped due to a pandemic. It wasn't the Dodgers' fault that we only had a 60-game season. And it wasn't the Dodgers' fault that the playoffs were the way they were with the bubble in the first couple of rounds and then having a few fans scattered across in Texas for that World Series. So you can't blame them for how that season went. Well, you can because they won the whole thing. They won. Don't take it away from them. It was a 60-game season, yes, but they won the World Series. But they have won in the last few years. We haven't had one in almost 2 decades. So I guess you can say the pressure is more on the Yankees for that matter, but it's the World Series. You have two of the teams with the highest payrolls in baseball, two of the top three. The Dodgers just spent $1 billion in the offseason to get the best player, maybe the most exciting player, and the best Japanese pitcher to ever come across here in the major leagues. The pressure might be on them because if they don't win, they're going to be looked at as a fraud. But if we don't win, we're going to be looked at potentially as frauds. So both teams have a tremendous amount of pressure on it for different reasons. I don't think there's one team that has more pressure than the other. And I would really prefer if people, and our GM included, would stop bringing up 2017.
Yeah.
Because it's 7 years ago. We need to get over it.
Well, I mean, I've had my opinions on that, but I do agree it needs to stop being the talking point of any time that the World Series comes around. I think it's an exhausted narrative. And before I go even deeper to what Rob said with with 2020, we all said on this show, and you can go back and you can check the receipts. We all agreed that the Dodgers, we did not think it was a Mickey Mouse trophy because every team played in the same parameter. So it wasn't like the Dodgers played 60 games and another team played 70. Right? Everybody had the same schedule. So I think that I think that's a bullshit argument. I don't understand it. I think that the Yankees are actually the team with the most pressure because of the length that it's been since we've been in a World Series. Both teams have extremely high payrolls. That's very well noted. And you get to this point where it's like, stop talking about the money. Stop talking about 17. Right? It doesn't get you. It doesn't win you any arguments. What does win the argument is which team is going to play better. and the top team will prevail. Um, whichever team does not survive, I'm going to say no. I don't think it's a fraud team. If the Yankees or Dodgers miss the World Series altogether, then you can use the fraud argument. But it's not easy, and we've watched this. Right? It is not easy to get to this point, and I think that it's just unfair to the accomplishments of the losing side that they were frauds. No, they're not frauds. The World Series is not an easy not an easy series to get into. So I don't think that either way. I think that for both teams, both fan bases will walk away. Let me rephrase it. Prior to playing the first game, I think both fan bases should be extremely proud of the accomplishments of their team this year. Depending on the level of competition in the World Series, will also further solidify that point. Because if one team just falls completely flat, you're gonna be like, all right, that was embarrassing. Like we didn't even try. But if it's high competition and everybody's playing at their peak, I think this is going to be one of the most entertaining World Series and most watched World Series. I'm going to say since the Cubs were in it.
Probably. We haven't had a matchup like this in a long time. I mean, the Yankees bring eyes to the product. The Dodgers bring eyes to the product. There's no denying that. And there's so much complaining going on that this is bad for baseball. How is it bad for baseball? Would Cleveland versus the Mets have been better for the sport because they're not high payroll? The Mets are a high payroll team, so would that have been better for the sport? I don't get that argument. These are two of the most prolific franchises in the sport. Of course, it's good for baseball. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to throw that out there. But yeah, if this goes 7 and it's anyone's game the entire way through, and if you're like, man, that could have gone either way. Yeah, both fan bases are going to be like, that was a great series. The winning franchise fan base is going to be on top of the world. The losing one is going to be like, fuck. When does spring training start? But Lou brings up a good point. Next year's team is not guaranteed, so maybe there is more pressure on the Yankees. The Dodgers are going to have a lot of those guys back next year. We're not guaranteed to have Torres and Soto. We probably won't have Verdugo, Holmes. Well, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, we're not guaranteed to have the entire team that we have right now back, so there might be more pressure on us. It's just a wait and see game, but I do believe this is going to go. I think it's going to go 7, and I'm just hoping for. I would love a sweep by us, of course. Wanting to make this as easy as possible, but yeah, I think it's going to be a nerve-wracking 7-game series, and both teams are really good. There's a reason that we both won the most amount of games in our leagues, and hey, you got the two best teams record-wise and possibly even roster-wise going to the World Series, so. I don't know how this is bad for baseball.
Yeah, no, I think that you can't. This is the best thing for baseball because when was the last time we actually had two of the top teams? Out of the 30 teams, there are 5 you could say are must-watch baseball. You got Yankees, Dodgers. Houston is still up. They've put their ranks up. They're a must-watch team. The Mets made themselves a much-watched team this postseason because no matter what the lead was, one hit could always change everything with that club. And Boston's always a must-watch. So I mean, there are teams where you have to keep your eye on them. But this is going to be the most I really think this should be the most competitive World Series that we've seen. And I don't think if we analyze and break down starting lineups, I don't think anybody has the advantage one way or another. It's all going to come down to how they perform in each specific at bat. You could take the argument like with first base. We don't know the health. I'm hoping Freeman plays because, what was that? I forget who said it in wrestling, Rob. You might know. To be the best, you have to beat the best. Was that a Flair thing? I don't know if you remember.
To be the man, you got to beat the man.
That's there Flair. You go. That's the phrase. So like you could look at first base and go, all right, Freeman, Rizzo. Yeah, Freeman would be the guy that you would want on your team. What I think is going to be an interesting, if you had to go position by position, I think the most fun debate would be the DH. And who would you prefer? Like who's the better DH? In postseason, well, the DHs are Ohtani and Stanton. And both of them are playing out of their minds this postseason. So I think that is a very intriguing comparison on who has the edge at the DH spot. What do you think, Rob?
Oh, I mean, it's Ohtani, if we're being perfectly honest, because you can get to Stanton. I know Ohtani's had moments this postseason where he's looked bad, but I mean, there's guys on base. He's coming through. Stanton has come through as well. So they're both great in the playoffs, but Ohtani is a guy that you have to be careful with. Whereas with Stanton, he could hit a 3-run home run, but you could strike him out 3 other times in the game. That's the kind of player that Stanton is. He can have those big clutch moments as he had all postseason. So Ohtani is obviously he's the bigger threat, but it's a lot closer in October than it would be if this was a regular season matchup. But yeah, there's good matchups all around here because the Dodgers are beat up. Like the fact that they're here with the amount of injuries to their pitching, they've had to throw bullpen games out there. And they're in the World Series by using 2 bullpen games in the NLCS. I didn't think that was possible. So they've had to deal with a lot, but it's a pretty well matched up series. I think we have the edge in certain departments like starting pitching because we have
actually have a rotation.
Yeah, they have to rely on 3 in a bullpen day. But they certainly have the edge in other positions. First base for sure. You can throw it up for debate if you want to, because Mookie Betts is really good. The best matchup might be Betts versus Soto. They're both going to be in right field, but Edmonds playing out of his mind at shortstop. Kike Hernandez is impossible to get out in the playoffs for whatever reason, and he kicks our ass a lot. Teoscar Hernandez destroyed us in that series in June, so this is a really good team. But luckily, we have a really good team. So this is going to be a great matchup. A really good matchup. And yeah, you hope they're fully healthy, but they're not. Even with Freddie Freeman, they're not a fully healthy team. So you got to beat who's in front of you. That's really all it comes down to.
Yep. I think this is as even. Yeah, and we've said it, and you were just saying it. I agree. I think this is the most even matchup for the lineups. And I think the bullpens are even, but the only really edge the Yankees have is with the rotation. Just because of the unfortunate injuries and setbacks for the Dodgers, because you hate seeing injuries. You want to play. You always want to see everybody get through the season healthy, whether they're on your team or somebody else's. You never like to see that. But I do want to get to some of the comments that's been going on in the chat. Do appreciate every single one of you. And if you want to join the chat, it's very simple. It's very free. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button. Hit those likes and share this out. Thank you to everybody that is watching on YouTube and X. So we got let's go with Spencer first. Ready for Pitcher Chronicles 2024 World Series edition. Oh, we are ready. Simultaneously watching Yes Network presentation of the 1978 World Series. So he's getting a little nostalgic on us, Spence. I like that. Nosebleed, how's everything going? Nosebleed, in my opinion, the Dodgers have more pressure due to the money they spend on free agents. Both need this win regardless. I actually think that is a very factual comment. That both teams do need this, but only one team can win. And that's what really sucks about it. And of course, we always want our team to be the one on top. and whichever this is not going to be easy. This is a tough freaking World Series. If you are a gambler, just keep your money in your pocket. Don't take the risk, please. And then our favorite Dodger fan that hangs out with us, Roy Estrada. How's everything going? Dodger fan for life. 100% correct. All 30 teams had the same opportunity to make the playoffs and win the World Series. I'm assuming that's going back to our other. We were talking about 2020. The focus is on the stars, but it's the unsung hero that steals the spotlight. Much respect. Roy, we respect you as well. You've always been a class act in the chat and with everybody that interacts with you there. Lou, how's everything going, Lou? We definitely have more pressure. This team is not guaranteed next year. We do have a lot of guys, like Rob said, there's a lot of, not everybody's coming to be back next year. Jonathan, Jared, Dev, ABX, good morning. There was a comment that I saw from your dad. Here it is. This is the best matchup for a World Series ever. I actually agree with that. I think this is going to be the best matchup we've seen, especially with the two top teams. Like Gregory's, mirroring. The two most talented teams this year are in the World Series. Yep. Because these aren't teams that just got hot in the postseason and kind of skirted in. So yeah, these are two teams that were pretty much on top of their game most of the year. They had the highs, the lows, the injuries, and here they are going head to head. It's great. But
what the hell is a Discord? John, what's a Discord? I don't know what he's asking us. When are you guys going to get a Discord? What is that?
Oh, that's like a chat app, I believe.
Oh.
I'll look into it. We'll look into it during the off season on how to further expand and interact with, because we love interacting with you guys. So we'll definitely look into something where we could all kind of keep in touch throughout. I mean, we'll be here doing our morning shows, throughout the off season. We don't take vacations from the show. There's always a stream that's going to be going on. Even though, ironically, how I put that, Rob and I are set to go on a couple of vacations, but the channel, the show will go on, whether we are here or not. What's going on, Fats? Good to see you again. Which player on both sides that was hot in the pennant goes cold in the series? Very good question.
You could look at both MVPs, honestly, because Tommy Edman was playing out of his mind, and it wouldn't surprise me if we kept him at bay, but then somebody else could take over for them. And it would not shock me if the Dodgers kept Stanton at bay. Easier said than done, but anything can happen. But you think about who was hot for the Yankees. It was really Torres, Soto, Stanton, Volpe. There was nobody else that was really hot. So you kind of have those four to choose from. I hope it's not Stanton. I hope it's not any of them, but maybe Volpe. It might be Volpe. He's had a great postseason. They could slow him down. They can slow down Stanton. I don't know if anyone could slow down Soto because they didn't see Soto in that June series.
Nope.
They didn't see him. So I don't know if they're going to be able to slow him down. They haven't seen him yet. But as for them, I'm hoping we can slow down Kike Hernandez because that guy just, again, for whatever reason, comes alive in big, especially in the playoffs. The dude has like 20 home runs in October, whatever it is. It's nuts.
Yeah, I think for the Dodgers it would have to be either Kike or Tommy Edman. It could be one of those guys. For us, it's gonna be. I don't want it to be, but like I can see Torres kind of still having a good series, but not as effective in the leadoff spot. I think that could be an issue. Torres, and so I also, hopefully he keeps his defense up. But we've seen Torres for too many years to know that that's it's a toss up with him. He could be a guy that they kind of take out of the equation. You want to bring up this one comment from Mark, who is now our newest subscriber. So, Mark, welcome to the family. Let's everybody give a warm welcome to Mark. His comment here, I'll be honest, based on the fact the Yankees capitalize on righties and the Dodgers are loaded with righty pitchers except one who is not the greatest, he has the Yankees in 6. I think with the righty pitching, I think you're onto something there, Mark. That's an excellent point. Most teams fill up their roster, their pitching on lefties when they have to face the Yankees because we suck at lefty hitting. We suck with lefty pitching. So I think it's an advantage that tilts the needle towards the Yankees for an advantage there.
Yeah, we can't hit lefties, and I'm looking at their team right now. They don't have a lot of them. They're very righty heavy. I think Banda is one of their few lefties, so that bodes well for us. Like had they had Kershaw, I'd be a lot more afraid because we just can't hit left-handed pitching to save our life, even if it's a bad one. Doesn't matter. We got shut down by Patrick Corbin this year, so I think that's a good thing. But it wouldn't surprise me if they add like one lefty or something to this bullpen just to be safe, because that's how you beat the Yankees. You throw a lefty at them and they just can't hit. Yeah. So that's been the recipe. The Yankees have to figure that out going forward, going into next year. They got to figure out a way to hit lefty pitching. That's another story that does bode well for us. And this is a pitching staff that has been spent because again, 2 bullpen games in the NLCS that went 6 games. Their bullpen is probably more used than ours, so they need this break, and the Yankees needed this break. So we'll see which bullpen has the edge in this one. I think it might be ours simply because we haven't had to use them as much, but their bullpen's been good. I mean, Hudson's been all right. Phillips has a 0 ERA in the playoffs. Whoever this Kasparius guy is pretty good so far. So, I mean, yeah, they had 3 lefties and 2 of them are injured. So, yeah, we've gotten fortunate that a lot of their lefties are hurt, but it wouldn't shock me, though, because remember, we didn't hit Yamamoto when we played him. We still got to deal with him, and we're going to have to deal with Flaherty, who's having a pretty good postseason as well. So they still have some good starters. It's not that they don't have any. It's just that they got to rely on the bullpen more than we do, probably. But at the same time, our starters haven't really given us much length. So it's going to be a bullpen matchup, I feel like. It's just really who can get the better results, and that's a pretty obvious statement. But I think that their bullpens had to be used a lot more than ours, and that could be an advantage for us because we've been pretty good against the bullpens this postseason.
Yeah, the other thing the Yankees need to be cautious of and really do their proper scouting report is on Flaherty, who's going to be thrown against Cole in Game 1, because he had 2 starts in the postseason. One he was dominant, and one he was kind of So it's all going to depend on which one we get. If the starting pitchers are going to have their work cut out for them the first 2 times through the order. I don't think that's a statement that can be stressed enough. I think the key to the series is keeping the ball in the ballpark. You're gonna, I think they're gonna, get string their hits together. But what wins you games is that 3-run home run. And Cole has been one of these guys where he's been able to limit the damage with the long ball the last couple of years. Obviously, last year with the Cy Young year, he was phenomenal with it. But even this year, he's kind of limited the damage with the ball going in the air. When you look at the matchups with the Game 1 starters, how does Cole really have the advantage because of the experience in the situation?
Maybe, but Cole hasn't necessarily been great this postseason. He's had one really good start, and the rest is I guess that's the word. The first batter of the game, or at least the bottom of the first, could set the whole tone for him because he's got to deal with Ohtani right out of the gate. I think their top three is Otani, Betts, Freeman, or in some order.
Yeah, and that
Um, that's good. And then they got Hernandez and both Hernandez's. Chris Taylor's hitting the crap out of the ball, and Edmonds been great. So whoever we have on the mound is going to have to work. That's a tough lineup 1 through 9. There's really no easy bats in that lineup. Whereas with us, you could find a couple of easy outs. And Mark, it's a great point. Judge, you pinpoint who needs to come through. It's Aaron Judge. If Aaron Judge has a good series, we have a very good chance at winning this thing. Very good chance because he crushes LA in his career. He's crushed them, especially in LA. He plays very well there. So if there was ever a time for Judge to get his best postseason series, of course, it's this one. If he's hitting with the way Soto and Stanton have been hitting, then our top 4 is going to be as dangerous as theirs. But right now, they have the edge because Judge hasn't been as good as he should be. And Jazz as well. We know Jazz might be public enemy number 1 if he doesn't step up in the series, the way he's been talking. But yeah, Aaron Judge, man, this is it. This is a chance for him to silence every single critic about him in the postseason. If he comes through in this World Series and we win a ring and it's on his shoulders, no one's going to give a crap about anything else he's ever done in the playoffs.
yeah.
This is his chance. This is his legacy series. The same thing goes for Otani. If he brings a ring to LA in year 1, the guy's getting free dinner for the rest of his life there.
That's when you elevate yourself from iconic to just legendary. And Judge and Otani are going to have that pressure on them. But Judge even more so because of the drought. And the what's going on, David? The aura of having the trophy in New York. And Otani, I actually enjoy hating on him, but you can't deny his awesomeness. He is probably one of the him and Judge are the top 2 players in baseball. And you could also throw into that mix when you're going into when you're ranking, Betts and Soto and neck and neck, they're right up there too. The pressure doesn't affect these guys. The effectiveness of them may differ, but they're not afraid of the moment. And this is going to be a series where this could be that the plateau where Judge really does step it up. He was starting to look like he was having some better at bats, seeing the ball a little better. But obviously with minimal results, I don't want to say he didn't do anything. He did have some key moments in the championship series. But I think Judge is. I don't think Judge is fazed by this. I think he's going to relish in it. I think he's really. I think he's going to have just even more focus than he already has.
And we need him to. It's as simple as that. We need him to. Obviously, not everyone's going to be great because that's just the way baseball is.
Yep.
And isn't baseball strange because how close are we apparently to getting Flaherty, which would have led to us potentially trading for Tommy Edman? And they're both Flaherty starting game 1 and Edman's NLCS MVP. Baseball's strange. So yeah, you need your best players to step up. We need Judge. We need Soto and Stanton to keep doing what they're doing. We need Torres. We need Rizzo. We need Jazz. These are obvious statements. It's like the Dodgers. It's like saying, well, we need Otani to step up. Well, no shit. Obviously, we need our best guys to step up. It's a star-studded series, which is why, again, I don't understand why there's so much complaining going on from other fan bases. Like, once the Yankees finally get back, all of a sudden it's bad for baseball. But for 15 years, we were being laughed at by the rest of the league. Oh, you guys never going back to the World Series. And then now they got Yankees suck chants going on at Celtics games. We're back, baby. The New York Yankees are back.
Oh, we are rent-free. Rent-free. No, this is, we made the joke in the beginning of the season how, if everything plays out and baseball gets everything they want, it'll be Yankees Dodgers. Well, we have it. This is going to be a series not just for us to enjoy. If you have somebody that's on the fence about if they enjoy baseball or not, I think the championship series on both ends, on the AL and the NL, I think that drew more people into the sport. This World Series is going to keep them in. And it's going to be, that Bronx Tale moment where now you can't leave. They're just going to be locked in. I think this is going to create even more of a spectrum of baseball fans that may not have been as locked in prior.
Well, yeah, because you have the biggest stars in the sport.
Yep.
That's simply Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani are the two best players in the game. There's no argument there. Who you put number one is up for debate. I obviously put Judge first. A lot of people would put Ohtani. Even Aaron Judge put Ohtani first. So it is what it is there. But then you have Soto. Then you have Betts. You have Freeman. You have Stanton. You have Cole. You have Yamamoto. You're telling me this is not the best series for the sport? This is all-star after superstar, the two biggest cities in the world clashing in the biggest series in the sport. I mean, this is exactly what you need if you're trying to get baseball back on the map to people who don't watch it. Saying, hey, we got two of the best teams. It's like if the NBA was losing viewership a little bit, and it's like, okay, well, now you got two of the most historic franchises going head-to-head. If it was Celtics-Lakers, if you had LeBron versus the Celtics again, like, this is what you want. You want the best going up against the best. Yeah, the underdog story is fine and all, but we had that last year.
We've had that for a while now.
Yeah, we've had it for a little while now. Even the Nationals were, when Soto won it in 2021, that was a bit of an underdog story. So we had our underdog moments. Now you got the two best teams, which is sometimes what you want. Again, sometimes it's cool and all to see the underdog make a run, but other times you just want to see the best versus the best. And hopefully we get a great series that's going to bring eyes to the product. As for the fans of each team, Dodgers fans, I'm sure Roy would say the same thing. He wants to sweep us. He wants to make this as easy as possible.
Yep.
And Roy, I hope we kick the living shit out of you. That's just how it is. That's what we want to do. But we know this is going to be a good series, and if it is a 7-game clash, it's going to be great for the sport.
And Roy, if you know anybody that enjoys hearing from the other side, get some friends to come into the chat. We always enjoy interacting with other fan bases. And see, I don't want to call them fake because I think I think it's a dried out term in sports where you're a fake fan. But how do you not, like, you watched 162 games, you've watched the whole postseason, but because it's the Yankees and Dodgers that are in it, now you're going to stop watching when you're actually going to see some, you have the potential to see one of the best World Series since 2016, seeing the Cubs break the drought. That's when you're going to turn it off? Come on. You guys got to be better. Be a baseball fan. Take your hat off, put an MLB hat on, and just enjoy the game that you love.
Well, you could also be like Mets fans that are all of a sudden the biggest Dodgers fans in the world saying shit like protect the realm, whatever the hell that means. People are going to root for who they want to root for. I don't know. They don't like the Yankees, and no one likes the Dodgers because of the $1 billion they spent. So these are like two of the biggest enemies of baseball fans. Like, all of baseball is kind of uniting around hating these two teams. It's just, who do you hate less? That's kind of who you're rooting for. Like, I'm sure Red Sox fans are like, I hope the Dodgers win. And I'm sure Mets fans, they hate the Yankees more. Mets fans hate the Yankees more than they hate. They hate the Yankees more than they like their own team. That's just a thing that Mets fans are. I've seen more hatred for the Yankees after the Mets lost than hatred for the Dodgers. It's like, would I be rooting for the Guardians to win the World Series if they knocked us out? I wouldn't be saying, go get them, AL. Fuck that. They knocked us out. I don't want to see you win.
Yeah.
And they will all watch, Dame. They're going to watch, and they're going to complain while doing it, but they're going to watch it because they want to see what the Yankees and Dodgers are going to do in the World Series. They hate Ohtani there's so much glazing going on, but they're going to watch his at-bats. Oh, Aaron Judge, he's a regular season guy. He's not a playoff guy, but they're going to watch his at-bats. That's it. They're going to watch. And they might say they won't. They might say they hate it. It's bad for the sport, but they're going to watch. And that's the beauty of it. They're going to be forced to watch the two best teams in baseball, and they're going to hate it each and every second. And I hope it goes 7, simply for the fact that it's going to piss those idiots off that are complaining about the series. You got to watch all those innings, 7 games worth of 9 innings of just the two best teams duking it out. Oh, the travesty of that. Oh, the humanity.
And then Game 7 going into extras.
Yeah. Just to piss you all off.
Egyptian, he's saying he would not watch if the Yankees were not in it. No hate on that. Everybody fans the way they fan. I'm just curious why. Why get off the train now? To me, this is almost like when you're on a roller coaster, and you get that one last drop, and you get off the coaster. Like you were so close to the end of the ride. Why are you going to jump off now? I know people do it. I just don't understand why. So Egyptian
might not be as locked in.
Reason.
Yeah, like I won't be as locked in if the Yankees were out of it. But
I'm a nut.
2016, I was watching every game of that Cubs Guardians series, then Indians. But that was a great series. Even 2017, I was watching that rooting hard for the Dodgers. Because I didn't want to see Houston win. Houston knocked us out. I don't want to root for them. The right ends for me with the Yankees.
Okay.
That makes sense. I get that. I truly get that. Because there are times where the Yankees, like last year, I'll be honest, I didn't watch a lot of playoff baseball. I was just like, the Yankees didn't make it. I was so dejected that I really didn't care. I watched a few games here and there, but I didn't really care. Chris, would these fake fans rather see? That's what we asked earlier.
Yeah.
Would rather see the Guardians, who other than Cleveland Guardians fans, who honestly watches the Guardians on a regular basis? They're a good team. They're a really good team. But you're going to tell me that someone in Detroit's going to be like, I sure wish the Guardians were in there. No. Like, I'm not, even if I wasn't a Yankee fan, you would understand this is the best series in terms of the best two teams. I don't get it. They're only doing this because it's Yankees Dodgers. Had it been Mets Guardians, they would have found a way to complain about that, saying, oh, it's going to be another low watch World Series. Last year, we had the underdogs. And
it was fun.
Guess what, though? It was the least watched World Series.
Yeah.
No one cared. So whatever. You know they're gonna watch it. They'll complain all they want.
Yeah, you're gonna. You'll see it all over on X and the comments, all the tweets that are put out. They're as locked in as we are. They could try to mask it all they want. We know the truth. And so, it just drives me. I don't get it, But get to a couple of more comments. This is also the fun part of really not having any games to break down right now. Gives really a lot of good time to interact with you guys. We all miss Chief Wahoo. Not a World Series when the Yankees are in the postseason. Anytime the Yankees are in it, it speaks to high watch games. That speaks to the success of the history of the franchise. Well, I'll even add it to the success of baseball and the exposure that they get. Because when you have a team like the Yankees that are the most recognized logo in the world, and you're able to get those guys, the Yankees to a World Series competition, all you're doing, it's printing you money. So yeah, of course, everybody's you should want those two teams in it, but I also understand like teams that I know Mets fans. I'm sure there are Mets fans out there that are just they don't want to see either team win. There was a joke on the radio. I hope both teams lose. But I have to. I can't turn it off. I know, like last year, I thought it was because it was two underdogs. I thought it was I enjoyed the World Series. I mean, 2016, my team wasn't in it. I saw as soon as the Cubs made the World Series, I took a whole week's off vacation from work and was locked into every game. And that's the other thing I want to bring up, right? The networks. In 2016, when the Cubs got to the World Series, MLB Network did something that they really should do every year. Make the game while the games are being broadcast, make them free on the channel. I think the World Series should be on the MLB Network along with that, with Fox. Team up with them and let it be broadcast on the MLB Network.
There needs to be two different broadcasts because 7 games potentially of John Smoltz might make me jump off a bridge. It's just no matter what freaking network we're on, we got to deal with the crap announcer. One, it was Costas, then it was Darling.
Now it's Smoltz.
Now it's Smoltz. So no one wants to hear John Smoltz. I think that's one thing that's universal in baseball. Yeah, there's like every fan base would unite in the hatred of John Smoltz. The guy stinks.
He's the Angel Hernandez of broadcasting.
Yeah, he was great. A great pitcher, obviously. Yeah. A great pitcher, but he's still mad about those 2 World Series losses. And he lets it be known with the way he yaps about the short porch. And like, how long do we have to hear about this? We know it's a short porch. Each stadium is different. And yeah, it's exactly, FJ. He'll tell you, Garrett Cole can go 7 shutout innings in game 1. He'll say, yeah, but I would have had about 15 less pitches than he would, or Maddox would have had 15 less pitches. He's no Greg Maddox. Like, this is the things that he does, and it just makes it unbearable. So if I was, I would watch the game on mute and put on John and Susan, or if I'm sure a lot of people here sub to Pete, I'm sure he's going to call every game, put on Pete's game season, align it with the game, and you'll get a much better broadcast because if it saves you from watching 7 games of John Smoltz, do whatever it takes to not listen to that idiot.
Yeah. And another channel that does the live streams is the Twins. So make sure with the boys of the Big Apple and the Big Blue in the Bronx, I think is the channel.
Yes,
they have a couple different iterations of how I always see them on social media, but I think Nick's Cast is the other one they have.
Yeah, so, they do it. We were on Donald called a few games with them, and then I was there with them for the clincher. If you put them on too, or NFE, whoever might be calling the game, whoever you find that's streaming the game and doing play-by-play, I would suggest putting them on, put the game on mute. And if sometimes you want to hear the crowd, though, so it's almost impossible to put the game on mute. That's the difficult part of it. I wish there was a way that you can just take the announcers out of the equation and watch the game with no announcers, just so you can hear the crowd noise. Because TBS was muting the crowd.
Yeah, like changing the settings on the show where you just kind of slide the
it's terrible. God, Smoltz sucks.
Yeah. Or if you're running around or you're in the car, you could always hear the last series that John Sterling will ever call. And I saved that pretty much for the end here. I'm glad that this is the curtain call for John. That it wasn't a random game in April like it originally was. I'm glad that he was able to call the Yankees winning another pennant. And I'm sure that a lot of fans of his, even critics of his, you have to respect the fact that this guy is his knowledge of baseball and sports. There's many mistakes. He has those the goofy calls, which I think adds to his charm. But I am really looking forward to hearing John more than anything else.
Yeah, I kind of wish we still had Vince Scully around. That would have been pretty amazing. We could have had that. We could have had that a few years ago. Maybe that's one thing that they took away from us, the Astros, was getting that chance. But yeah, we'll get Sterling one last hurrah. It makes more sense to go out on a high note, even if we don't win this thing. The fact that he's able to call one more World Series, hopefully we can win one for the team and for him, so he goes out on top. But yeah, I didn't think it was just weird how he randomly retired and that was it. Like it made no sense. But at the same time, it's like, what was the point of that whole ceremony? And he came back for it. But it was the Yankees that really wanted to do that for him because it just didn't feel right for him to retire mid-season or early in the season like that. So yeah, I'm glad we're gonna get to hear him for one more series, and hopefully he goes out on top.
You know, yeah, Greg, you're right. When it comes to the voices of Yankees, still gonna be missed on the air, just like we missed Bob Shepard in the booth on the intercom. But no, it's gonna be a phenomenal series. I think I like we were going over earlier. I don't think one team has an edge over another, but yeah, Susan did seem lost without him, but she's a trailblazer, so she'll be able to work with anybody. Um, so not worried about Susan, but I am going to miss John. I don't think either team has the edge over the other, because as we've been pointing out all show, this guy can go cold, this guy can get hot. Which pitch is going to be able to slow down these lineups. Both teams do have a deep lineup. There's no absolute out in either lineup right now. Either anybody in that lineup can just make you pay for a mistake, whether through working a walk, hitting a home run, or a simple base hit. I don't think you're going to see a lot of easy outs, as they like to say.
So as we get ready to wrap this show up, which is I guess is officially our preview show, even though we do have another show Friday, but I'm not going to be here for Friday, so I want to get some people's opinion in the chat. Tats, of course.
Yep.
Predictions for this series: who's winning it? How many games? And who is your MVP? So let us know in the chat. Tats, if you want me to go first, I'll go first. Or if you want to give me yours. Yep. I think it's going to be Yankees in 7, and I'm going with Garrett Cole as the World Series MVP.
Ooh. Yeah, I also think the series is going 7, and I think I'm going to say Yankees in 7. And I could see Soto getting the MVP. My guess for the World Series MVP will be Soto.
I like that. Got Yankees in 6. World Series MVP is Judge. Yankees in 6. Soto MVP. Stanton MVP. Yankees in 5.
5?
Well, that I would bet for 6 then at least. Respect to the Dodgers, but they will be hurt. I mean, I'm hoping we kick their ass, Joe Shane Train. Yankees in 4. Shohei MVP. What? Yankees in 4, but Shohei gets MVP? Tell me how that makes sense. Oh, okay, he's kidding. All right. Okay. I was gonna say, what the are you talking about? Damian says Yanks in 7, Judge MVP. Jared saying MVP Judge or Stanton. Yankees in 6. Jonathan says Yanks in 6. My dad's getting horny for Meredith Marakovits again. So yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of 6 and 7, and I think that makes a lot of sense because these are two really good teams that are really well put together. So game 1 Yankees, game 2 Dodgers, game 3 Yankees, game 4. You simulated that MLB The Show, Li? Is that how you came up with those? So I mean, he's got Yankees in 6. MVP Juan Soto.
So a lot of pressure on Soto. No, I think the way that the championship series ended with him, I think he's definitely going to carry that over. And of the players, aside from Rizzo, you have Cole, but he's one of those that has been in the World Series before and delivered. So That's why I have Soto over Judge. But I do expect Judge. I think Judge is going to tear it up. I think he's going to go off on a tear where he could throw like a 3 for 4 game with home run, some RBIs. Judge is gonna win us a game. That I'll say. His bat's gonna win us a game.
I certainly hope so. Y'all need to leave Meredith alone.
Yeah.
Leave that woman alone. Let her do her job. She's great at what she does. She doesn't need you sick freaks talking about her left and right. God.
Yeah, Yamamoto is going to feel the. Yamamoto's had a quietly good postseason.
It's been great.
So, because all the attention's been on the offense with the Dodgers, but don't sleep on Yamamoto. Don't sleep on anybody on these rosters. You'll be very disappointed. So I don't want to get. I really don't want to go there. But
one more point I want to bring up though, because Li had a take in the last series of using Garrett Cole in the final game, which thank God they didn't listen to him for that. But this is the series that you would do it if it comes down to a game 7, because I think Cole's going to get 1. I guess he would get 4? I don't know what games he'd be lined up to start, but would you bring in? Like, because it probably wouldn't be Cole, but would you bring in a Rodon in like the 8th inning or something of a game 7 if you needed to? Like, these are questions that are going to have to be answered because we have that ability with our extra starting pitching that they don't have. I think Cole's going to get 1, 4, and 7 Li, so that would leave a potential Rodon appearance out of the bullpen. Would you go that route if you needed to?
And this is for the whole thing. There's no limitations. None whatsoever. If they do call you, if they do bring it, like say they have to bring in Rodon to force, even if they had to bring Cole in game 6, it's a battle of the game. Do you bring in Cole to pretty much, do your best to push it to a game 7? These are the things where it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But when the question came up in the previous series about bringing the pitchers out of the pen, that's World Series stuff. So whatever Boone has to do it. Just win the damn series.
Yeah, and Egyptian brings up a good point. How many bullpen games will there be? Well, for the Dodgers, they're probably going to have 2. Yeah, because they'll go Flaherty, Yamamoto, maybe Buehler.
Okay. Buehler.
Well, how many innings is he good for, though?
Yeah.
So, Li kind of killing it right now. The deeper the series goes, the more it favors the Yankees. He's got a point because that bullpen's taxed. So is ours, but we have the starters.
We have 5 starters. They have 3. So that's why we were saying earlier, Li, when it comes to, the strength of the pen, it's pretty equal. But our biggest advantage is our starting rotation. The lineups, you can't compare them, really. So it's going to come down to the starters. If the Yankee starters can handle their business and get to the 6th inning every game, then that would definitely increase my optimism.
Yeah. At least 5.
Yeah. Let them wear their bullpen out. Because when they get to those bullpen games, they're going to be on fumes. And so, but we'll see we'll see. That's the fun of it. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. So, with Nestor on the roster.
Is he back officially, though? Because it doesn't seem like it's a guarantee.
I didn't see an official... because they didn't put the World Series roster out. I don't think you'll see that until Thursday, maybe even Friday morning.
Right. I mean that's pretty badass of him. It's like, well, worry about if I have to take a year off, so be it. He wants a ring. I don't want to see him blow his arm out, but how reliable can he be? He hasn't pitched all postseason. He missed a good chunk of the end of the season. Is he even a guy that you want to rely on? I would go with Stroman before I went with Cortez, simply because he hasn't pitched in like what, a month. So like, how reliable is he?
Yeah, and well, not that he's not that he's a threat to an opposing lineup, but he could be that guy that's sitting out in the pen that, when he's thinking, when Dodgers are thinking about substitutions, it's still a lefty out of the pen. So it's kind of that I think it was I'm going way back, in the 20s, with McCarthy, managing. He used to have two starters warming up every game, so the opposing manager didn't know who was going to be on the hill. Psychological, the mental game, the mental warfare could be a factor with Nesta, or Stroman. They're gonna. But Stroman's been, he's been on ice. How are they going to use those two guys? So it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. But what I do look forward to is having these mornings with all of you, and we appreciate everybody that has tuned in. All right, Jonathan, come on. Now you're just
Give Tats a break. He was alive during those days, and so the memory isn't what it used to be, Jonathan. Thank you for fact checking.
But do appreciate everybody that joined us on X, and all of you guys on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that sub button. Share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. This has been the Pinstripe Chronicles. This is where fans become family. So wear those pinstripes with pride and play hard.
Yanks in 7.